Japan Pot 64. Various parts of the national bureaucracy must cooperate in order for the local communities to realize its potential, but the national government makes its guidelines well known. Although the Japanese government takes much greater initiative in defining the desirable course of the local development, local communities are given room for initiative. Local business leaders, political leaders, and bureaucrats can do a great deal to remake their areas, and through consultation with the national politicians and the bureaucrats receive considerable national help. In short, the national government deals with the local areas much as it deals with the private businesses. It sets up a league, establishes the rules, provides guidance, and reserves the right to make certain decisions, but the key actors are the local leaders. The maintenance of a centralized authority permits Japan to avoid overlapping, entangled, inconsistent, unequal, and sometimes totally inadequate programs maintained by American states in matters of the welfare, education, crime control, and the like. The variations among the American states require an additional layer of the national bureaucracy that tries to minimize or go around these inconsistencies. Japan's clear, forthright step to centralize leadership in these areas in the latter part of the 19th century has permitted smoother planning and more rational administration while reducing excessive bureaucratic overlap. It has not ended local experimentation, and indeed the national government has encouraged it. One wonders whether the United States, in an era of such complex problems requiring such a high level of coordination, is still best served by a patron of government that places such extensive powers in the hands of the states. A patron that grew out of the pre-modern agrarian conditions, and whether the entangled web of varying state regulation is optimal for achieving the overall goals of the society. It requires no great effort to discover instances when Japanese bureaucrats made important errors of judgment. In 1951, the head of the Bank of Japan refused to extend a loan to create the first modern post-war steel plant, arguing that Japan could not hope to compete against America's steel industry. Sony had to postpone for 2 years its efforts to import transistors technology because government bureaucrats considered the company unable to make good use of the technology. After the first oil shock, bureaucrats overstimulated the economy, causing runaway inflation. Just prior to the first yen revaluation shock, officials confidently predicted yen revaluation would not take place and exchange yen for the billions of dollars. In the 1960s, bureaucrats pushed the rapid construction of Narita International Airport, which then stood idle for a decade because they had vastly underestimated public resistance. This was compounded by the delays in constructing local transport facilities and inadequate preparations against terrorists. Jurisdictional disputes between the ministries have led to the inaction. Yet in balance, the bureaucracy has been remarkably effective in guiding the community. If one factor stands out in keeping such errors to a minimum and providing relatively rapid self-correcting device, it is the involvement of the relevant parties in the decision-making. Process and their thorough commitment to the resulting decisions. In English, this process is sometimes referred to as decision-making by consensus, but this does not adequately describe the Japanese decision-making process.